Coming up, hear why a local dentist says the Prime Minister's new amended orders was needed. Also, the country's first COVID-19 death coming out of Bimini. Hear how they have now amped up their emergency measures. And we will tell you what the island of Abaco is doing to combat this global pandemic. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shashina Will-Farquharson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the country continues to monitor the COVID-19 pandemic. At last report, there were 21 infected persons in the country, 18 in New Providence, 3 cases in Grand Bahama, and 1 death from Bimini. The nation's leader amending the emergency orders to include the suspension of services at private and dental offices unless there is an emergency. Tonight, a local dentist says this move was not only needed, but believes it can and will help in stopping the spread of COVID-19. Dr. Catherine Adderley, Director of Dentistry for the Grand Bahama Health Services, applauding the Prime Minister's move to extend the emergency order to eliminate all routine and non-emergency physical encounters with patients at private and dental practices while using virtual or remote means.
What I've realized over the last few weeks that we've been under this emergency order is that I think lay people don't understand the danger posed by visiting your dentist for routine things at this time. We have to really look at where the virus is coming from. And one of the number one places where you can find viral particles is in the mouth, the droplets coming from basically the nose and the mouth. So we know that's a hot spot in your body for the virus. So it baffles me as to why people think that's somewhere that they need to have work done at this time for non-emergencies. So I think it's wonderful. People underestimate the danger involved in doing routine dental work at this time.
She says the first week the country was placed under the emergency order, there was an uptick in persons going to her dental office to have non-emergency work done.
It's 3 to 6 feet, 6 feet recommended. Well, dentistry is practiced in very close quarters, 6 inches. So it immediately, 6 inches to a foot. So that immediately violates any social distancing and puts the public in close contact with the healthcare workers and puts the healthcare workers in unnecessary close contact with the public. These aerosols, people are very concerned about the virus hanging in the air. Well, it's already been shown that, the particles can hang in the air from 30 minutes and upwards. And one of the other main sources that people don't think about is those dental aerosols. So you could come in the office and get some work done, and the same particles that got sprayed out of your mouth are still hanging in the air for the next person when they come in.
To make it clear, she says there are only a few dental emergencies.
Severe pain, severe swelling, any persistent bleeding from the mouth, or trauma, such as broken jaw, broken teeth that cause bleeding, things like that. But anything that doesn't fall into one of those 4 basic categories is not truly a dental emergency. But what we're advising patients to do right now is that the new amendment to the order allows dental offices to be open for emergencies. So the first thing you should do is contact your dental practitioner.
And with 50 medical workers already impacted by COVID-19 through exposure to the virus, she says this is a very serious time and stresses the point that residents must take these stay-at-home orders seriously.
And particularly in Grand Bahama, the pool that we have to draw from is not that great. Mm-hmm. So if nationwide we have 50 people out of the healthcare system already, that leaves less people to care for you. In the public setting in Grand Bahama, we have 1 dentist right now in the public setting. So if I get sick, then there's no one to attend to you. And so that is very concerning, both from a dental standpoint for me, because we literally have to work so close to people, but also too from a public health standpoint, is that it's the public's responsibility to help keep healthcare workers safe as well at this time.
Well, the nation's leader confirming Grand Bahama's 3rd case of COVID-19 yesterday at a press conference in the capital. In light of this recent announcement, Member of Parliament for Central Grand Bahama, the Honorable Iram Lewis, says that he believes Grand Bahamians, including those in the Southern District, are beginning to take the pandemic more seriously.
think with the numbers going up, everyone is realizing how serious this matter is. With this whole worldwide pandemic right now, the answers aren't coming from anywhere. Everyone is struggling for an answer, and we believe that the best way we can fight is to stay indoors, to promote social separation, social distancing, and we're doing our best. And as we drive around town now, there's very little traffic on the street, only essential services out there. So we do believe that Grand Bahamians are doing their best, and they've gotten the message, and they're carrying out the instructions of the Bahamas government.
Well, the island of Bimini knows all too well the dangers associated with the coronavirus. The country's first fatality coming from that island. A businesswoman died due to the infection just hours after she was airlifted to the nation's capital. It is a sad reality for the island of Bimini as residents there continue to mourn her passing, but they have amped up their emergency measures. Italia Hall reports.
The island of Bimini is mourning the passing of one of their very own. It is the country's first confirmed death that is related to COVID-19. Reports say the deceased is 57-year-old Kim Johnson Roll, the sister of the Minister of Immigration, Trade and Industry Ellsworth Johnson. It was confirmed that she had a history of travel to Florida. According to the Minister of Health, Dr. Dwayne Sands, the woman was flown to New Providence on Monday, March 30th, but died a short time later. Community leader on the island of Bimini, Vincent Ellis, confirming that the entire island is shaken up by the death.
Most of the people are worried now where it come from, but we knew that she was, she was the restaurant owner in the community, and she traveled to the U.S. A short time ago. So, we're hoping that's where it come from, that it's nothing that it's, right here on the island that somebody has, and it's still spreading.
Now, some claim that there was an apparent delay in having Roll airlifted to Grand Bahama or New Providence for medical care. The Prime Minister, during a press conference on Wednesday, confirmed that the situation is under investigation, but he says that emergency services are in place to assist any person who may be feeling ill on the various family islands.
I like when he said that it was up, everything is ready for that in case anybody else gets sick. They'll be able to get out of here in a hurry instead of, lingering around. Most of the people on Bimini have medical insurance, medical ambulance insurance, and, we were wondering what would be the case if some of our family got sick. How would we be able to get out of here like that? And so since they put that in place, that's relatable. I think that needs to stay in place at all times, whether we have an epidemic or not.
The nation's leader also urging all residents on the family islands to stay indoors and to not travel to other islands. The community leader says he believes that residents are adhering to the rules and regulations, but to those who are not.
Prime example of what's going on in the world. A lot of people know New York. A lot of Biminites travel to New York. They know exactly the type of people and all the people that they get in New York. And so, therefore, my advice to them is to stay home. Buy food, stay home, and deal with your family. Deal with your family like everybody else.
It's Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Well, over on the island of Abaco, it appears as if residents there are also listening to the message from the nation's leader, which is to stay at home. Local businessman and community leader in Abaco, Pastor Silbert Mills, says residents are staying home and focusing on rebuilding efforts. Now, under the emergency orders, construction can continue and hardware stores are allowed to serve the public.
That sort of has a little bit more traffic. Hardwares are open because of it's been extended to them to be open as well in Abaco. So there's a little bit more traffic than you would experience where under a normal curfew regulation, curfew order. But for Abaco, we're playing it safe. I've been out to the presentation of keys for the domes in Spring City, and everyone attending was practicing social distancing and also wearing their face masks.
Well, he says 8 men were also taken before the court last week in Abaco and fined for breaking the curfew, which he says sent a strong message to other residents.
I think we're playing this very safe, and we're glad that the borders have been closed, and the emphasis on the marine traffic as well, because, Abaco is a heavily transit area for marine traffic. And boats can come in, leave the east coast of Florida and come to Abaco, and you may not even notice it. And so we're happy that the Prime Minister has extended this to marine traffic, that there ought to be no more receiving of marine traffic coming from any other island or any other country. So I think things looks good. To date, we've had a number of persons tested. All came back negative. We know that there's a number of other persons who've been tested. They're still waiting on their results.
And amidst the ongoing health crisis facing the Bahamas and the world at this time, there is some good news for residents in Abaco. The Disaster Reconstruction Authority issued keys for some 32 domes in Spring City this morning. These structures will aid residents in getting back to some sense of normalcy in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian. The Member of Parliament, James Albury, says although there is still much work to be done, this is a big step in the right direction.
While this is been in the works for a while, I'm very happy and I'm very comfortable in the fact that it's now complete and that we can restore some sense of normalcy to the lives of persons who've been absolutely ravaged by the hurricane. And of course, just because of the situation with the COVID-19 virus doesn't mean that Abaco is still far from healed from the effects of Hurricane Dorian. So, I'd like to remind people that there still are so many basic needs that need to be met. Housing is one of the bigger ones. So to see that actually come to fruition and happen today, I'm very happy about it.
Now, despite there being no reported cases in Abaco, Albury says, like everyone else in the nation, Abaco residents are concerned. He says recently he met with health officials and NGOs on the ground to discuss the way forward.
A bit of a silver lining that we do have because of Hurricane Dorian is obviously we do not have the amount of tourists in Abaco that we would normally have under regular circumstances. So from a basis of pure exposure, we're a little bit better off there with just pure exposure. We haven't had the number of tourists like we'd normally see, but we also have some very wonderful NGOs who are on the ground, including AmeriCare and Red Cross, amongst others, who are working with our health officials in terms of just coordinating, organizing, getting some more equipment and personnel in there, PPEs and things such as that.
Meantime, the community of Williams and Russelltown now has its own water station, courtesy of Member of Parliament for Central Grand Bahama, the Honorable Iram Lewis. Lewis says there will be 250 gallons of potable water available daily and 10 gallons per family.
Here, they all agreed on the location, and we will now see if we can also do such an initiative in another community like Bartlett Hill. We've analyzed all the communities around town, and we realized that this is one of the critical ones where we must set up. And again, we will reactivate the station at Bartlett Hill Primary School to serve Hebron and Bartlett Hill area. We're trying to minimize the spread, so the stations will be managed. Not everybody in the community will be touching the nozzle and getting their own water supply. It will be managed by one person who will be serving the community, because if you can imagine someone is infected and they touch it and other person comes along and they also touch it too, then there's a spread. So we're going to contain that by having the control from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It will be manned and properly controlled so that we won't have everyone in the community touching it. So in that way we believe that we can minimize the spread.
Chairman of the Pinders Point Township, Jackie Russell, says in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, this means that residents will now be able to get water without having to leave their community.
Water is an essential commodity. So instead of them venturing out into the Freeport City area, they can stay right in their own community and access potable water. And today I want to say on behalf of the Pinders Point Township And our representative, Mr. Aram Lewis, we thank him for the initiative for bringing this portable water to Williams Russelltown today.
And coming up in the news, a call for peace on the streets. That story and more when we return.